scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it.
You are now tapped into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. I'm your boy, MJ. What is good, everybody? Welcome to episode 109 of Trap Talk with MJ. Man, we got a good one tonight. I'm so excited. But what is good, everybody? I hope you guys are ready for the energy, because the energy is going to be on point tonight. I'll tell you that much, man. But before we get started, you guys know what the deal it is. Shout out to the freshest and bestest rodent company in the game, Cold Blooded Cafe. For $30 flat rate shipping, anywhere from day one pinks to mammoth rats to your doorstep. You cannot be mad at that. Shout out to Cold Blooded Cafe, doing big things for a long time. Shout out to John and Alex over at Sim Container. If you got an egg, put them inside of a sim box. That's a guarantee it's going to hatch out correct. So shout out to John for coming out with such a great design. If you're into monitors, definitely go check them out on Instagram, because they have a lot of good monitor programs going on. I got my Bell Ace monitors from them. And yeah, they're epic. Big things going on over at Sim Container. And then need I say more about Focus Cube Habitats, Flex in Texas? We have Ashley and Steven who are coming out with these PVC design cages that are so easy and durable for your reptiles. And when I say easy, I mean like easy to move around. If you're like me, you're always adding reptiles to your collection and you're constantly moving shit around. It's not always easy to move shit around in a heavy ass enclosure. When they're PVC built, you can move those bad boys all by yourself, and that's why I love them. So shout out to Ashley and Steven. I got a new design on the way from them. I'm not going to tell you too much, but be ready, because it's going to be sick as fuck. Speaking of sick as fuck, stainless steel racks, that's Freedom Breeder, baby. Made in the United States. Shout out to Jesse and the entire Freedom Breeder family. Been doing the thing since the 90s. Man, the 90s was a good time. And that's when they've been around since then. So shout out to Jesse. If you have a Freedom Breeder rack, you know where it's at. That professional level of snake and rat breeding all day, every day. So shout out to Jesse. Shout out to the Freedom Breeder crew. Thank you so much for supporting the trap. And if you want to talk about the leader of the industry right now, I feel like one of them is definitely Miguel Garcia. Always evolving pythons. Always making a statement. Always evolving, man. The name speaks for itself. But if you do not know who Miguel Garcia is, make sure you go give him a follow on Instagram. Check out his YouTube channel. He's the one that's doing collabs that no one's done before, getting other people involved. That's really making this industry grow by the day. So shout out to Miguel Garcia and the whole Always Evolving Pythons family for constantly doing big things. By the way, guys, if my volume's really high, we had a little funk sound check. So I got to keep my volume up so Brian can hear me solid. So sorry if I'm fucking screaming. It's not on purpose. I'm loud anyways, but you guys will be all right. You know, that energy. I told you about that energy. Speaking of energy, guys, listen, US Arc, man, the fight never stops. We got to continue to fucking support US Arc. You guys know this. If you have no idea what US Arc is, you need to go down to the link below, click on the website, become a member. And if you cannot financially become a member, well, then start talking about it. Let people know about it, because this is important. This is crucial. That being said, any super chat, man, let's get our super chats up for Brian. Because anything, like you guys know the deal, any super chat that's donated on this channel gets immediately donated to US Arc. So let's go ahead and make a statement for Brian today, and let's go ahead and show him that we mean business when it comes to supporting US Arc. But shout out to Phil, shout out to anyone out there who's fighting for our rights and doing what you got to do to keep our damn animals, because fucking ain't no one going to touch my animals, I'll tell you that much. Shit. If you want to reach out to me, man, Instagram's the best way to do that. mjexoticscartal with an A, not an E. And make sure you follow the podcast's page, Trap Talk with MJ Podcast. Shout out to all my Twitch viewers. If you like to support this channel more than a subscription, please go ahead and send that to PayPal, mjexoticscartal 619. And any U.S. ARC donation, go ahead and send it there as well. And I will go ahead and forward that. And then more importantly, shout out to my Patreon family. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. If you out there want to be a part of a community where, you want to learn about diverse species of snakes and reptiles, you name it, man. You never know who I'm going to bring on our Sunday Zoom sessions. Well, then go down below, join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Come see all the trappers that I have and all the shit that we got going on, man. It's constant growing over there. And shout out to all my Patreon members. And shout out to all the early birds, man. Everyone's up in the building. Everyone's ready to have a good night. Hope you're ready to have a good night. What is good? Arth is? I can't. I hope I said that right, man. Hope you're ready for a good night. HP Reptiles, what is good? Jacob, what is good? The homie Jacob in the building. Nate Dog, what is good? Nate HP, already said hi, Jay. Jay Hendo, what is good, man? Eric's More Factory, how you doing, player? Thanks for being here. Pacific Rim Serpents, what is good? Scale Fins and Feathers, I hope you're ready for a good show. Got the homie Black Smoke Reptiles. I think I met you at Tinley, right? Did I just meet you at Tinley? Pretty sure I did. Tyler King, just had a good time with him at the Reptarium. What a time. And we have Texas right here. We have Texas. Hannah Banana from Texas. What is good? How you doing, Hannah? Sean Perry, Julio, what is good? Underworld Exotics. And we're going to end it with my hand. Oh, wait. Okay. Wiz Constrictors. And then we'll end it with Aurora, the homegirl Aurora Exotics. All right. Enough being said. I don't want to keep Brian waiting much longer because I'm looking forward to this interview. This is a long overdue interview. If a lot of you guys know, back in the day when I started a podcast with Forrest Fanning, we talked about how bad we wanted to have Brian Potter on the show back then. And, now we are now, and I'm about to have him on, and he's tapping in with us. And here he is, Brian Potter of the NARBC. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, brother?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's all right. We're having little technical difficulties on my part, which is nothing new, man. Technology and me do not fucking get along.
Oh, man. But, hey, it seems to get along when it comes to you doing auctions. I'll tell you that much. Fuck, you don't have any problems. You don't have any problems when it comes to those.
Yeah, I don't have to do anything but jump around like a little monkey. Everything else, everybody else does, so.
But with all due respect, I feel like when you're jumping around at the US ARC auction, it's kind of a relief compared to the kind of jumping around you're doing during the show. Like, you're fucking constant. Like, you're behind there doing the tickets, and
yeah,
I've seen the traffic flow. It's consistent.
Yeah, it's busy. I like that. I mean, obviously, it's like being at work. Who likes to be bored at work? So I do like when we're rocking along, and obviously, if we're rocking, I know the vendors are rocking. So it's kind of like a team thing, right? If I'm doing good, everybody's doing good.
100%. So, Brian, for anyone who doesn't really know your real involvement with these animals and how far back it goes, give us a little background, like how long you've been involved, with NARBC and just, been around with these animals for,
Yeah, sure. I was in the Marine Corps from 1989 to 1993. I was in an attack helicopter squadron.
Respect.
And basically, being in a helicopter squadron means you don't sleep in the fucking woods. You go home every night. So I had time to screw around and do my own thing, outside of that, weekends off mostly. If we weren't like out of state or out of country, whatever, I was cruising around. And there was a place called Reptile Haven that was probably the first, I won't say the first, probably East Bay was probably the first reptile store out that way. Maybe Prehistoric Pets might have been 2, but Reptile Haven was probably 3, I would guess, in California. And that was 1990 that I wandered into his shop and just was mind blown by everything. And Chris Estep is still the owner. Now he does birds, but Philippe Devogely was his best friend.
Philippe, I heard of him.
I was hanging there, and that was how I got into it as on the commercial side of it, I guess.
Okay, awesome. And how far back was this? Like what year was this?
1990.
1990.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. So like the originate, like you go back to this shit.
So we're cruising up to LA Reptile, hand picking shipments. Chris and Gene owned it. Gene passed away. Chris obviously still runs it.
Right.
Well, her own runs a business, not LA Reptile, but runs a separate business. But anyway, we were cruising up there and picking import shipments out with just amazing stuff. Albino berms were probably like $7,500 at the time. It was a cool time to be involved in all that stuff and to see it just being it was just being born in a way.
Right. And so what was your main involvement back then? Was it selling animals or was it just still putting shows on?
Well, that's 1990. I'm in the Marine Corps at this time. I'm just a punk wandering into the shop.
Oh, so you're
spending way too much time there, just being obnoxious and annoying, to the point where he's like, hey, help these people, go get them a boa, do this, get this. And at the time, I'm terrified of snakes. You know what I mean? I'm like,
wow.
I don't want to reach in a boa tank. That's just, it's new to me. I'm from Chicago, man. This isn't like around here it's garter snakes, and that's about all you're finding. Fox snakes, So that was kind of my first foray into like big stuff, big iguanas and all that. I mean, it was a reptile store like you'd see today, but in 1990, which at the time was just unheard of, really.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I remember seeing snakes. I think my first snake that I actually like walked in and saw, I was 6 years old. So it was 1990. I was born in 85. So yeah, 1990, I was 6 years old. And it was a ball python, right? And it was a smaller one. And like shortly after I saw that one, I saw a bigger snake. And I was so fascinated on a fucking big snake because in California, I was in San Diego. You don't see them. It's not something you see every day.
Sure.
But back then, it was more of a secretive type thing. Like people kept snakes were like fucking in their own world. Like it wasn't so open like it was today, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, in 90, it was like, at Reptile Haven, you'd have like San Diego Zoo would be coming in there trading stuff with him, bringing baby green tree pythons, which, it's 1990. So it's like a lot of times I think with young people that are in the hobby today, you say like an animal and you act like it's a big deal and they just don't get it. Like green tree python, captive-born green tree pythons in 1990 was a big fucking deal.
Right.
Pancake tortoises were probably $35 as a flip. Now green tree pythons they've come back up again, but they're nowhere near what they were back then. Pancake tortoises now are $450, and they were $35 then. So many animals have flip flopped on the prices and what's happened. And there was no morph ball pythons in 90. I think there was maybe a ghost at the time. Maybe clown came out right around there.
Now you mentioned pancake tortoises. If I'm recalling, like tortoises is one of those like hottest imported species that comes into America. Was it like that back in the 90s too? Was that like something where like a lot of people were getting tortoises in America that they shouldn't be here and shit like that?
Yeah, there was Russians. I don't remember Russians back then at the shop. It was like at Reptile Haven at his store when I was just hanging out and stuff. It was a lot of sulcatas because it's California, so everybody's breeding sulcatas. Everybody's breeding leopard tortoises. In fact, Art Laffer, the Laffer curve of economics, if you Google that up, that's a guy. He would come in there with tortoises and buy tortoises from Chris. Kind of like a very well-known, famous dude.
What was his name?
Art Laffer, the Laffer curve of economics. Google that.
Laffer curves of
economics. Just one of those weird little things that, in California, you never know who's going to wander into a shop,
Oh shit! All right, so is it? I mean, does this guy look pretty looked out? Like he looks like a really smart doctor or some shit.
Yeah, he's like some famous. The Laffer curve of economics is some big deal. That's all I can tell you.
All right, yeah, I'm definitely. It's this. I just want to make sure this is the guy right here, right?
Yep, that's the dude. I'm sure. I'm blind on this, so I'm guessing you got him. It's
okay. Art Laffer explains the Laffer curve and all this
there you
other
go.
shit. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right,
just weird stuff, man. It was a cool place to hang out. Being from Chicago and never seeing a store that had that kind of stuff in it, to be in there. And Philippe DeVogely's coming in once a week and he's breeding tons of frogs. And it's funny because at the same time, Russ Gurley, who I did not know and never met until much after, was working for Philippe back then.
Damn, man, you're dropping some heavy names right now. Russ Gurley, I've heard some stories about that guy too. That's nuts.
Yeah, Russ has been around for a long time. Really smart guy, knows a lot of stuff and a lot of people and been doing it forever. And that was back in the Gary Sipperly days.
Yep. Wow.
Bob Mayu was in and out over there, and there was a ton of guys.
So you were just in the right place, the right time moment, like in that era. You just met the right fucking people.
I explain my life a lot like that.
That's epic. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and speed things up. Then you left California, right? Because you're in Cali back then, right?
So I was in Cali from '89 to '93, in and out of the country in the Marine Corps, doing Marine Corps stuff, in and out of Reptile Haven all the time. Became super good friends with the owner. And I said at one point, hey, I'm doing this. I'm opening up a store when I get out. And a guy that I was in the Marine Corps with, Jeff Ladico, I said, he came in my room one time and I was hiding all this shit in my room. I had a Volkswagen Squareback, and every Thursday night, Friday morning is inspection in the Marine Corps every Friday morning. So we would take all the shit out of my room and go put it in my Volkswagen Squareback and then bring it in after inspection was over and put it back in the room. Because obviously you couldn't have that shit in the Marine Corps, and I had a ton of shit. And so I had a 5.5 foot iguana. I had a lot of shit. It was crazy. And everybody kind of knew that was going to be my thing. I was going to open up a store, and, probably half the people believed me, including my parents, And then I got out. My buddy that I was in the Marine Corps with came down from Detroit. We opened up the shop in October 93. We opened up Chicago Reptile House.
Wow. Damn. So, and that was in 93.
Yeah.
And how go ahead.
A few years later go by. It would have been 90. In fact, it would have been 99. I met Bob Ashley and we were doing Brian Hahn's show down in Indianapolis. And he goes, hey, there's a show in North Carolina next weekend. You want to do it? And so he's like, I'll come down from Michigan, pick you up, then we'll go. So I pointed out the dirt that is now the Tinley Park Convention Center was being moved around by bulldozers. And they were talking about building this convention center. I said, hey, we should do a show there. And that's kind of how it all went down.
Dang, because that was my next thing is, you know, you and Bob, you know what I mean? Because you guys are such a great duo, but you guys are complete opposites. I feel like, you know, I've had
100%.
I've had the pleasure of having Bob on my other podcast, and man, the guy's nonstop too. Like he's like you give him a question, he's gonna answer it really, really quick, and you better be quick with your next question. And it's like, oh shit, this guy's won it.
Huge, you know, rattlesnake nerd. You know what I mean?
He loves
nothing
it.
He doesn't know about rattlesnakes.
Right. So so let's talk about you guys throwing that first show. You know, a lot of people, even now, man, I'm telling you right now, like people wish they had shows in their area. I have people in the Pacific Northwest that kind of wish they had, you know, shows and whatnot. So you have people that are like trying to gather up and maybe do something about getting shows in their area or throw their own shows. So what did you do with Bob? Like, how did you guys sit down and fucking come up with the, like, you know, with a plan to successfully throw a show?
We both being in the industry. I was in the industry at that point for would have put me about 6 years in roughly. And I'd been to Orlando, I'd been to Daytona, you know, a lot of shows, you know what I mean? Both good and bad. And no matter what it is, I guess you take the good and the bad from everything you see. And you're like, all right, I would take that. I would take that. I would take that. And I would get rid of that, and that. And
right.
You come up with this formula of like fixing the things you don't like and making the things you do like even better, and you try to do it at least best you can. And That's what we did with Tinley, was just we tried to elevate the experience of a reptile show from a VFW hall with wood tables and no displays and no pipe and drape, and make it what you see now, you know, because the first show was the same as it is now as far as the way it looks.
Right. Okay.
It was all about elevating it, you know, making it something that if a mom came there because her kid, you know, dragged her there, that her experience would be positive on the industry, on the show, the whole thing. And her mind would be changed when she left about what reptile people are and what a reptile show is, the whole thing.
She should be excited to bring them back, basically.
Yeah, like she would say, like, hey, this isn't what I thought, you know?
Right. And that happens still to this day. Like, I just brought my wife to your first NARBC you met her. I just brought her to Tinley, and she was like, holy shit, I was not expecting this. And dude, we had the time of our lives. And that was my first Tinley too. And dude, that was just kudos to that, bro. Honestly, that was the show of the year. I'll tell you that right now. That was such a fun time, man. I can tell you that.
There's something special there in Tinley that we've never recreated anywhere else, and I don't know if it's possible, and I don't know why. I can't tell you what it is. There's no secret sauce. It's just like, you know how like certain things, like whether it's a fishing trip, a hunting trip, whatever it may be, where everything comes together and it's just perfect. It just Tinley seems to always feel that way.
I felt it for sure, you know, and I've been, I went to Arlington. I've gone a lot of NARBCs. I've gone to a lot of reptile super shows. I felt crazy things at reptile super shows, but nothing like a fucking Tinley. Like
there's just something there, man. And it ain't me, it ain't Bob. It's everyone together. It's the whole recipe. It's not any one of the ingredients, you know?
Now, I can tell you right now, man, if it's one thing I'm starting to notice people really want when they first come into this industry, because you got to understand, Brian, dude, there's a new brand every fucking day. There's somebody new popping up, right?
Oh, my God.
You know, right? And, you know, some people have a lot of amazing shit, but they're just not noticed, and that kind of frustrates them. Don't you think by putting yourself out there at these shows kind of helps you speed up on getting noticed and whatnot? Like, would you
like from a breeder's perspective or a...
Breeders, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, oh, my God, yeah. Like, where else can you set your shit up, look people in the eye, shake their hand, talk to them, and meet that many people for that? You know, a lot of people are like, oh, man, the show's expensive. Like, go back to Reptiles magazine days. Like, you buy a fucking Reptiles magazine ad for whatever it was going to cost you. The magazine goes out. People just look at print, and they decide if they like you or not, right? I mean, like, at a show... it's up to you. You know, you can sell yourself, your animals, your quality, what you're about, show what you're all about. You know, it's like, look at Kabilka, right? I always go to Kabilka because I think there's probably nobody that's as good of the business side of what he does. And I'm not taking anything away from what he does with animals. I'm just saying, as a business.
Please, like, Brian, please call him Canova, please. It's Canova.
Yeah, that's right. It's NARBOVA now too.
NARB Nova.
No, I
Dude,
love
that is-
Justin. I mean, it just
yeah.
I use him as an example a lot, and I'm not trying to jerk him off. It's just that I
Right.
really think he does a kick-ass job
He does.
of the business side of things, man. Like
Right.
it makes me want to do better about a lot of things. You know, I see him and I'm like, fuck, man, he's like making me look like a dirtball.
Well, I mean, because if it's one thing this guy has a niche for, it's the marketing. Like he knows how to fucking market himself, and he doesn't get complacent. Like if it's one thing that a lot of these ball python or any kind of breeder does, they'll get so good at something and then they'll just be like, well, I'm good right where I'm at. Not Justin. Justin's like constantly just trying to figure shit out to like elevate things to like, it's like technology almost, bro. It's like, what the fuck?
No,
like,
it's cool to watch. I like, you know,
I love
unfortunately, this last show, I literally stepped foot on the show floor one time, maybe two, and it was really to run to my booth to price something for somebody, or somebody was looking for like more than a couple of animals, whatever. And so my guys will call me and say, hey, guy wants a deal, come over here. But other than that, I was so busy, I didn't see shit. I literally did not see a thing, which is a good thing, but I didn't get to see anything. And what I do love is cruising around the show and watching guys that are elevating their booth game, like where they're like, making the booth like an experience like this. It's just awesome to see it.
Yeah, like the Bob Voos and shit, man. Like there's I can tell you right now, you have distinct tables. I mean, a lot of tables, don't get me wrong, are awesome, but you have these people who literally go out of their way to build these fucking goddamn signs behind their booths to where it's like, it's so attracting. You're just like, and I feel like, you know, a lot of the people set these examples to where like, there's not just Bob Voo who does that now. There's a lot of people who have that sick ass setup that, you know, I'm sure that you, like you say, you love seeing elevated. Like, you know, for you to see this, you know, these shows evolve to where people are going that far to display themselves, it's pretty hard.
Yeah, like I think it's Garrett Hartle, right? That has like the sick.
Yeah, the rustic wood, all the fucking. It's like a coffee shop.
Yeah, exactly, like a coffee shop. And then somebody else has like phone charging station in their booth, and I can't remember who that was. A couple years ago, I saw.
Dude, there was a guy. Okay, there was somebody at Arlington. Was it Arlington? I forget. Oh man, I don't know where it was, but there was literally a lounge section in the middle of their fucking display. Like, I don't know if there was a charging station, but you could just sit down and just kind of post up, and like, you know, then there's people right there to educate you on anything. And I feel like that's the takeaway right there. That's I don't know.
Right,
you
so
don't really
I gotta segue into something real quick because you mentioned that. So what we're gonna do for our Schaumburg show? Did you go to Schaumburg or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that place, we have a lot of room, right? And
it's
so
a beautiful hotel, by the way. I love the hotel. There is gorgeous,
bro. I'm walking around. I was like, "Are you fucking sure you guys want us here?"
Yeah, it's next level. I was like, dude, this is baller.
Well, the best part is the chick stuck her foot in her mouth a little bit, but it didn't matter because it wasn't like it rubbed me wrong. But I thought, boy, somebody could really be offended. I go, "How's everything going? Everything cool?" And she looks at me and she goes, "Yeah, we've had lots of weird people here before." She's like, "It's no big deal. You guys are good." And I was like, I looked at her and I think she then figured out what she said, you know? And I was like, no offense taken. I go, but I just thought maybe sometimes we're a bit much for people, you know?
Right.
And she's like, no, it's all good. Like they didn't sweat anything that went on the whole weekend, which was incredible. But what I want to say about that show is what we're going to do is because of all the social media stuff going on, influencers, everybody doing their thing, we're going to put in like an influencer cafe.
Okay.
And so there will be couches, area for everybody to chill in, audiences to kind of watch. And then what we're going to do is, and now it's not all dialed in, this is sort of off the top of my head, but we're going to put in like an area for influencers to do interviews, and they can do it by time. So they're not competing with each other. They can lock down times. So I think it could be really cool.
Dang, I have an idea for for something during the US ARC auctions, but I'm gonna bring that up towards the end, okay? Because it's a heavy idea. Okay, Brian, I want to take this back real quick to you and Bob after your first show. So, how soon did you and Bob sit down and plan the next show? Like, what was the game plan after that? And then, like, what was the actual success after the first show? Did you guys do good? Did you take a hit? Like, what was that like?
We took a hit. Oh, we took a hit because we went crazy on spending. Because one thing I'm going to tell everybody is don't believe the numbers of any reptile show. And it's not normally, it's not the promoters that give their numbers. It's somebody like around them gives like these inflated, insane numbers of how many people were through the door. And so we based our numbers off these inflated fake numbers, thinking we're going to have, we thought we're going to have 20,000. And let me tell you, there's been no show that's had half of that ever.
Really?
So anyway, we have our first show.
Whoa.
and it's like underwhelming compared to what it was in our heads. You know what I mean? But it went over well. It was a well-received show by the pipe and the drape, the carpeted floors, the facility, everything that we did as far as advertising. The gate was decent. You know, it was a first-time show. No first-time shows are really that good. This is pre-ball python money, so nobody's flying around the room spending 20 G's. You know, that wasn't the days for that, you know?
What was the primarily like vendors selling back then? Like, what were the tables like?
There was ball pythons, but you have to remember, go back to, and I don't even remember anymore, man. It's 2000. It's 2000. I'm sorry. First show was 2001. And so, you know, you had Peter Call there with albino boas and all that stuff. And, you know, I think blackheads were around a lot more. Womas were a lot more around, you know, like Dick Gergen was around, you know, guys like that. It was just a different time. And the money was not, you know, the ball python thing has carried the industry. And I don't know, I don't know exactly what year it really started carrying it, but it's carried it ever since.
I was going to ask you because I had plenty of people who talk about spending fucking 20,000 on pastels and shit in like early 2000s, right? So like at what point, I mean, I know you can't really recall, but do you remember like the show where you walked in and you're like, fuck, these goddamn ball python people are making money? Like, and I feel like it was like within the last 5 years almost.
It's funny you say that because I don't have like these specific, you know, man, I'm 50 now, I'll be 51 in December. So remembering shit is not my forte anymore. Like you look back and it just seems like ball pythons were there forever. But in this conversation, like I said, that, and it was almost news to me a minute ago when I said it, but ball pythons weren't carrying it like they are. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it is. It was more of a mixed bag, I think, of stuff. Colubrids, I think colubrid prices were way down at that point, you know, and nothing like they are today, obviously.
And you still had you still had bearded dragons and shit back then, like in the early 2000s, right?
Yeah. All that stuff was around, but it's. I mean, you know, it's funny. I'll be on like social media and I'll see somebody like, oh yeah, it's a fucking ball python show, and I'm like, do you not understand, like, you know, like what people spend money on all of a sudden at the shows? That's what's available. It's like, it's how the market works on everything. It's like they don't get it. Now, if you went to Tinley and you thought it was only ball pythons, you didn't look very hard because you can find some amazing shit there.
Right. Oh, 100%. No, I can tell you right now, that's the one place I was kind of dreading looking at tables because I couldn't afford everything I wanted. It was fucking nuts, man. Like everybody had heat. Like, you gotta understand, these motherfuckers been living under a rock for a year and a half. Nobody's been out.
Yeah.
So now they're showing shit to where you're like, what? So honestly, it was exciting, man. It's
super cool. And like I said, I didn't walk the floor this show, but every other show I walked the floor pretty good. And you just see some amazing, like, earless monitors, you know, and just crazy.
You had Spencer monitors at Tinley, bro. Spencer monitors is a big thing. Like,
was it at Mike's monitors table?
No, not at Mike. Shout out to Mike, but no, it wasn't Mike. It was Don something, I believe. I can't.
Yeah, there's remember. Just some crazy shit.
Sunshine
that, like,
something.
Nuts.
Yeah, there was a lot, but I remember that was one of the talks of the shows was those Spencer monitors. And, you know, I had, you know, this guy Elijah from Juggernaut Reptiles. I didn't even know, like, this guy's a fucking, like, to me, like, he was one of the guys who really inspired me. And it turns out he doesn't even do shows, but he did Tinley, and I couldn't believe he was there. So that's the kind of shit you see, you know, that you could expect at Tinley is like the opposite, you know.
Yeah.
You know who Marshall Mendez is and Gary Shavino. Have you ever heard those names?
Oh yeah, I saw him cruising around.
Oh, dude, the two first guys to greet me at the bar with those guys, and I can tell you right now, because of Forrest and fucking shit, like, I am so, like, those I look up to those guys probably more than anything. You know what I mean?
How
just
about
because
those fucking koozies? Did you see his koozies?
Bro, they were everywhere. Bro,
there one sitting in my kitchen upstairs right now. It's so fucking cool. I love that thing.
Dude, they were a hit. The koozies were a hit.
Dude, that was like the pimpiest koozie. I hate
Velvet.
They're so ghetto looking. That thing is like Beverly Hills koozie.
Dude, imagine being dressed up with that koozie. Like, imagine being at a fucking sick ass formal dinner and you just
you come out with that thing. You're like, yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so real quick, I want to know, at what point did the shows become profitable for you guys? Like, when did it really become?
I think it probably took us 3 or 4 years to be profitable, maybe 3 years, something like that. And then it was a slow build, I'll be honest with you, because we've always spent a lot to advertise and to make things right and do it the right way. And it's not like today's promoters. You got a lot of these guys, they're just pumping out a fucking new show every week. They're announcing 4 new shows here, 4 new shows here.
Yeah.
You know, we're having one in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and 3 miles down the road the next day.
Dude, that's draining. Like, how do you do that?
These guys are doing this shit. It's just not what we want to be a part of, or what we wanted our brand to be, or what I'd be proud to tell my friends, like, hey, do my show, check it out. It's just not. It's not what we're trying to do. And there's a lot of guys, I think, trying to do that want to do what we're doing. That's not the formula to do that.
I mean, I don't know how you do it,
and then think they're going to grow. It's not the way to do it.
Because you got to understand what comes to having these shows. A lot of losses and shit. Things happen. Moving animals around and shit like that. Like, if you're doing these every week, how are you establishing your shit? Like, how are you like? I don't.
Not only that. You do a show and then maybe a week or 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever it is, you're 50 or 60 miles away from that show with another show. So your vendors are slocking their stuff all over the place,
right,
to see the same people,
right.
And so it's just that's me bitching and ranting, and it's not like I don't want that to be taken that I'm saying, well, only I should do shows, nobody else should be able to do shows. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just do a quality product and don't try to do a show every fucking weekend. It's like, it's a simple thing. Like, that's it.
Right. And, honestly, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you got this at all from Arlington, but like, I talked to a lot of people and they're like, man, Arlington wasn't as packed as they thought it was going to be. And I guess because there were 2 shows, week after week before Arlington, like
okay. So check it out. It's funny. So perception is what drives everything. So as a promoter, when you get big aisles, you struggle because everybody thinks it's less busy. If you can tighten those aisles up, you can make it look busy. So this show, if you remember, there was no speaker room in that whole big speaker room where we do the U.S. Arc auction is normally in that corner of the room.
In that corner,
that's
right.
walled off.
Right.
Well, that was all open.
Huh.
We had a great door there, but the perception on the busyness of the show was that it was slower. But you had tons of more aisle space for a lot of the crowd to push into. So that's really what it was. It wasn't a down door. We had a great show. I mean, we were super pleased. You can tell by my body language if you're at a show and we're not having a good door. You'll see it in my body language because I don't hide it well. And we did really good there, honestly. But I did hear that from a few people, and I was like, you realize that whole back corner of the room is wide open now. Right. So that was the number one thing.
Yeah. And it's funny you point that out because, that does make sense. It is honestly just kind of the view of things. Because I mean, I don't really notice, like I was also told that about Tinley too. Like, oh, Tinley's normally way more packed than this. And this is when I'm like, dude, this is the most packed show I've ever seen. But, you had other people saying that, normally like you would expect more people at a show like that. So
I'll hear from 3 people in 3 areas of the show, 3 different things. One will be like, man, it was way better. The guy in the middle is like, same as last year. And the guy on the other side is like, this is the worst show I've ever had. So like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Or guys that they're in a certain spot in the show and they go, oh man, my aisle, there was nobody came down my aisle the whole show. It was just dead over there. I'm thinking to myself, come on.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, that kind of comes with the territory, right? You're always going to have that person who just didn't have the good show and they're going to latch on something,
You get a lot of guys like that. They're the guys that sit in a chair the whole time. When people walk up to the table, they're just sitting in their folding chair in the back, like not doing much. And then you go to the other tables, everybody's standing up, they're greeting you, they're talking with you, asking what kind of stuff you keep. It's just a whole different experience,
And I feel like people kind of don't figure that out until they're there and noticing that, hey, look, just sitting on your ass and not saying hi to people walking by isn't really the game plan. Like at the end of the day, this is sales. People are going to want to buy because the way you are, like who you are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you just work your balls off for 2 straight days, including Friday, 3 days,
grind
those
that
people
shit.
will call you the rest of the year.
Right, 100%. And they'll be ready for you at the next show.
PayPal will be just bam, bam, bam. It'll be coming in because they already know you. They already have that connection with you. So yeah, back to what your original question was, is like, yeah, people, if you're new at this, go to the shows, look at what the successful guys are doing, and look at what the other booths that don't look that successful, and then figure out what you need to do and just mimic that. You know what I mean? And if you got better ideas, do that even better.
Now, when it came to you guys starting to get the flow of doing shows, was it always once? Like, were you guys just doing once a year? Like, when were you guys doing multiple shows a year?
So what changed our tune, I'll be honest with you, was Rami doing Super Show. We had Anaheim once. All of our shows were once a year.
Right.
That's just what we did. That was what that's what we thought of, like Super Bowl, right? Once a year.
Right.
And then Rami came in and had 2 in San Diego and 2 in Pomona right around us. And one was always a week prior to us. And that blew us right out of California. Between him having 4 shows, you got Sacramento's right up the coast. You've got there's a couple other guys doing some other shows out there. And so it was like we realized to hold our ground, we needed to do like a spring and a fall show.
Okay.
You know what I mean? To like hold ground, sort of like put your elbows out and like keep people off your nutsack, you know? And so we went to the spring fall formula on all the shows. And that's exactly why we did it, was just holding space, man, putting your arms out and trying to keep people off of your dates.
Right. And then, as far as like, the policing at these shows, like, I mean, what's the difference? And when I say policing, like certain shit you can't have at shows and like the illegal shit and stuff like that, like, was it pretty laid back then, or like what's it like
so
now?
All that stuff is like, there's a group of dudes that cruise around that are friends of mine that like, we all have friends at shows and stuff. And a lot of guys will cruise around. They'll just come up and be like, hey bro, you got to go check out so-and-so's table. He's got some fucking just deathly looking shit over there. And you walk over, or mites, or whatever it may be. And, we'll walk over really cool and I'll be like, hey, bro, you got to get rid of that.
Right.
And I'm super cool about it. It's like, I don't want to play that, like, that game, the power trip game. Like, I'm not doing that, but I'm just like, that's got to go. That's not good for you. It's not good for us. Not good for anybody. Get rid of it. And I've never had anybody say anything other than, yep, no problem.
If it's one thing that makes me lose respect for a show is them allowing shit like that. And I've seen pictures, like I've seen like, I'm like, dude, what the fuck is that? Like, and if you do through a show and you allow something like that, I don't understand how that even is going to help you.
So we call our show Captain Born Show, just like Daytona calls Captain Born Show and everybody else.
Right.
And then there's always like, we all know who they are. There's a few guys that bring some import stuff. As long as it's super clean, man. Like, I have no problem with that, because a lot of that stuff is going to be on the tables as captive borns in the next few years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not saying bring in like $3 shit and just sell it in mass. That's not what we're talking about. But if you've got imported monitors and imported just anything that could make the transition to become captive born stock down the road and bring in more awesome stuff that we all get to breed and work with, then we have no problem with that.
Right. Now, I mean, with like the last couple years, right? I mean, I know we had that fucking COVID shit, right? But like even right before then, did you see like a big drive in traffic, like from like 2016? I'm basically talking like since the social media era, like since social media has been going and that's been picking up. Are you noticing like a big increase in traffic during these shows?
You mean just in business in general?
Business and just foot traffic.
Well, dude, since COVID started, my store is up like 80%.
Jesus.
Like, it's been the craziest run. Like, there's days we look at the register and we're like looking at each other like, holy shit. Like, I can't believe how much we did today. Like, it's just crazy. People just walking in, just whole setups like there's no tomorrow, man. People getting locked down for certain businesses. I feel bad for certain businesses, but for our business, the pet industry as a whole, I mean, anybody you talk to that's got a store, will tell you. I'm sure Lauren's one happy motherfucker right now over at Triple L. Having all those stores through COVID had to just kill it.
That's crazy how I didn't know Rami owned, or sold a pet store to Lauren at some point. I didn't know if you knew
I didn't know that either.
It was crazy. But anyway, it's crazy how that's connected. But anyways, all right. So I was going to mention something about fucking God damn it, my mind. Oh, yes. Okay. I know. So when did you start partnering up with US Arc? When did that become a thing? Like when did these auctions become something? Like how long has this been going for?
I don't know. I said something to Bob today about that. I was like, hey, how much have we raised like at auctions to date? And he's pretty sure we didn't announce it. And you can double check me later on it. Text me another time. I'll give you the accurate number. But I believe with NARBC US Arc auctions, we're over 2.4 million, I think.
Wow.
And we did 145 in Tinley this last one.
Yeah, that's baller. I heard about that. Damn. And that's a record, correct?
I don't think it is, actually.
Wow.
I think we did $160 something one time at a Tinley auction.
Shit, that is crazy.
Yeah, it's been that's a cool thing, like my parents are, my mom texted me today, oh, so proud of you, we're so proud of you. My parents are getting old, and I took them to lunch today, and she just texted me, and they just love the shows. My mom and dad are the ones that sold the T-shirts at Tinley. That was my mom and dad up there, and my sister, in fact.
Dude, I couldn't. Okay. Oh man. Okay. Some people say that you I mean, I thought you were pretty fucking on one at Tinley. What I mean by that, you're pretty funny. But I was told that you didn't go full Brian Potter because your mom was there. Is that true?
Oh no, fuck no. My mom's bit on that fucking All About the Beaver book. Like how many fucking times she's got that, and I think this time she bit on the dildos, if I'm not mistaken. Remember, my mom was like in the leading bid on the dildo package. That was like, holy fuck.
And then she started one dildo bid at $100.
Yeah, some shit like that. Yeah. No, my mom and dad are super cool, man. My dad's a Marine too, so it's like I've grown up with a bunch of crazy shit. My mom's kind of seen it all, and no, not at all. They get a kick out of it.
Did you get any kind of backlash at all from any family members when they found out you wanted to work with animals for a living or do like the animal thing for the rest of your life?
So when I was still in the Corps, I told my parents I was going to open up this reptile store, and my mom and dad went to a reptile show that used to be over by Midway Airport. It was like in the basement of this shitty building, and they sold beer at 8 in the morning. You could buy beers right when you walked. The first thing you came to was a beer tub, and it was just like, wow, it was terrible, man. Terrible. This is 19. They were probably going there in like 90, 91 at the latest. And it was like, It was just shit, man. It was horrible. And so they were mortified. My mom was like, oh my God, like, what's wrong with you? One of those. She's like, you're going to be living at my house the rest of your life.
Hey, wait, I mean, like, just to be fair, I mean, I'm kind of met people who still live with their parents and been keeping animals for a long time. Since being in this fucking shit, I'm not going to name drop them, God bless them, but I'm just like, your mom is not like your mom wasn't too off. You turned out to fucking do the right thing, obviously. But
no, but it's we all know animal people, man. It's like, another animal before anything for themselves or family or whatever, that crazy.
So let me ask you this, Brian. Obviously, like, God forbid, if this COVID shit relaxes and things go back on the up and we start picking up things, what's the big plan with NARBC shows? Are you guys always going to keep it the shows that you guys do? Do you ever plan on expanding at some point?
We have no expansion plans at all, honestly, right now. I think there's with the way that everybody else is pumping shows out everywhere. I think it's harder to do a really big, good quality show when you have a ton of little shitty shows around you.
Right.
Because the public gets confused by that. They don't really understand the difference. And so it's hard to build. And once again, I'm not saying I'm the only guy that should do shows. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. But I'm telling you that we won't expand out what we're doing now at all. I don't see it.
And this is something you guys talked about this, I'm sure, already, and this is already like you guys are on the same page. Everyone's like, "Fuck that, we're good," type of thing.
Yeah, I think if we could keep what we're doing right now, there's 7 shows a year. You have 2 Tinley, 2 Dallas, Arlington, and then the 2 St. Louis, and then the 1 in Schaumburg. I think that we're close enough where anybody can come. You know what I mean, to those locations. Texas has been doing really well. No matter, there's a ton of shows down there, as you know, a ton.
Right.
But I think what we do is a little different. And we're always working. We're always trying to get better and better. I mean, we're never satisfied with what we're doing.
Right. I want to bring something up, man, because I've heard stories from like shows, like I'm talking about old Tinley days, like they call it like the Rockstar era, like Pete Call days and stuff like that, right? Where you had these big name people to this day that attended all these shows, right? And like were very involved. And now a lot of them aren't really involved or don't go to these shows. And I'm wondering, like, do you understand the gap between that, or like why that is?
Like Peter Call is one of them, and Pete's kind of not involved in reptiles. As far as I know, I don't think he's doing a whole lot anymore. He got rid of most of his stuff.
Yeah, he's MIA. He's MIA type shit right now.
Yeah, he's a little MIA. Pete had some really terrible shit happen personally, and
right.
I know he's dealing with that for a while. And Pete's a great guy, fucking wild, man. I mean, if you've been to shows where Pete's at, it's a whole different level, rock and roll level. Like Kerry King said one day, he's like, that motherfucker could drink like a rock and roll star.
Right. Like a fish underwater.
Mark Bell is so busy with his business and running arms, so Mark and Kim are staying in Florida. They'll come to shows, but they don't set up at shows.
I mean,
A lot
if
of
you want
people
to talk
like
about
that.
if you want to talk about one of the most legendary people I've met at NARBC is definitely Mark and Kim Bell. I met them I met them both at Schaumburg, and I was like fucking mind blown. I couldn't believe it.
You had to be in the bar, right? You ran in the Mark.
No, dude, I've told this story multiple times, but I was actually doing podcasts at Schaumburg, and I was doing my last one at Desiree's Cold-Blooded Cafe table. And as I'm finishing up, I see this Pabst Blue Ribbon fucking tall boy slam on the table, and like this guy, like, what the fuck's going on here? It's some fucking podcast. You'll never see me on this bullshit. And I've never met this guy. I've seen this guy before. So he's talking over my guest who's talking, and I'm looking at him like, who the fuck is this guy? And then Desiree's like, hey, let me introduce you to Mark Bell. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Mark Bell. I was like, I'm glad I didn't say anything. I was like, God damn. He just had this look like he just didn't give a fuck about nothing. You know what I mean? And I respected that. I'm like,
I can tell you he was drunk because Mark is the most quietest, nicest human being. And like what you said is like, that's drunk Mark having fun, being playful.
He was fun, yeah.
He doesn't have a mean bone in his body. And no, it's funny. Mark walks around. I always tell Mark he's like the richest guy that looks like he lives under a bridge.
Oh, he's a surfer, bro. He's just like a surfer bum.
He's
just
a surfer. He's like UFC wearing, bedazzled jean wearing, stuck in 1987 guy. I tell him that all the time.
Bro, he's always in like a worn down long sleeve with jeans. His hair looks like he just got out of the beach water. Like he just looks like he just got done surfing all day and he's been drinking. Like
it's great.
Having the time of his life.
They're great people, man. And then you have Kim over there who looks like she just did all the work because she did.
Yeah, Kim. I could feel an aura from Kim. I could feel like an energy of just like, don't fuck with this lady type shit. And
she's the engine that makes that thing go, boy.
Yeah, I heard she's the engine for sure. She is the power for sure, 100%. And I could totally just get that just by being within 5 feet of her.
They're great people, man. They've just been so successful and just have done so much. And Mark's got stories. I mean, they would be trading stuff in people's basements, and that was how they did it.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Now, if I remember correctly, you guys had a show in Florida that you did. No, did you guys ever? Was NARBC?
No, we never did Florida. We've never been in Florida.
Never. Okay, cool. So it's always been
Pennsylvania for a few years. We were in Virginia, I think 2 years. Houston once.
Right.
I think that's about it.
Okay, cool. Let me ask you one thing, man, because if it's one thing there's a lot of hate on is like YouTube stars, like people, YouTube celebrities who are working with animals and shit like that, and I feel like regardless on how people feel what they do, they are still a big influence and whatnot. And I was wondering why most of those people, why don't they come to the some of the shows more often?
Well, so you're talking about Barcheck.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So Brian did some stuff years ago that he knows is wrong. I've heard him admit it personally and on video for everyone else to see.
Right.
He realized he did some stupid shit. It was good. It was good ratings. It was good TV, but it was not good for the industry. It was not good for what we do. And he learned from that and he's moved on from that. And I don't see him doing any of that stuff anymore. And there's just so much hate out there. And then there's also, I think you combo that up with people that are jealous, right? There's just a lot of jealous motherfuckers. Whether it's jealous of you because you have a podcast and they wish they had a podcast and they don't have one, so they're talking shit about you or whatever it may be. There's just always those people, that hate on you. It's like, I guess if you don't have haters, you're not very successful.
100%. You're not. You need to replan what you're doing because you're not making enough noise. 100%. I believe. Yeah,
I mean, and Brian got the wrath of that. A lot of it was warranted back in the day. He did some stupid shit, but I was explaining this to some people at the Tinley show. I said, if you took a scale and you threw all the shit that he did that was negative on the one side, and then you took the other side of it and you looked at the reach that he has and the ability that he has to bring people into our hobby,
it's crazy.
Then set them free. Like he sucks them in, and then all of a sudden they find everybody because of him, right? They find an NARBC show, a super show, whatever the fuck it may be, the National Expo, whatever it is.
Right.
And all of a sudden, man, they don't need him anymore. They're in. They're finding Miguel and they're finding, whoever else. And all of a sudden they're in.
Right.
And now they're one of us, right? And he can bring more of those people in by far than anybody else.
And he's brought a lot of big people in too. Like people were making a good living off this shit.
Well,
to
Miguel,
this day.
right? I mean,
Miguel's one of them.
Miguel kind of, I think, learned a lot in the beginning from Brian.
Right. A lot of people did. Almost anybody did. I mean, I learned Brian literally lit every fire I have inside of me because of YouTube. Like I had no involvement with these reptiles. I always loved, don't get me wrong, I always had reptiles, but as far as like wanting to be a breeder was never a cross in my mind until I became a fucking Brian Barczyk fan watching his goddamn videos.
Yeah.
The whole life changed.
I just wish people had like some kind of, like I get a lot of these holier than thou guys that really rip on him and yell and they get so worked up about him. And I'm like, how many people have you brought into the fucking industry? What have you done for the industry to bring people in? Like, if Brian was, let's just say Brian was welcomed back with open arms by everybody, and he started all of a sudden showing the good side of the industry to all these people, millions and millions of people that watch his shit, the good of our industry, and we used him to help raise money for USARK. Can you imagine?
That's the biggest thing in my head. I'm like, what the fuck? What's the issue with this? Like, I mean, I'm like, this is a big fucking need right now in our industry, is to have this guy more involved with this shit. Like, I mean, like,
and believe me, he's never made more money than he does now by getting out of breeding and getting away from shows and getting away from reptile people in general and just going and doing what he does.
YouTube,
with the Reptarium, with his filming. And I'm not here to make his case, but it's facts. It's factual that Brian could do more good for the industry than just about anybody else.
Yep. I mean, because it's like, if it's one thing, Brian, like, listen, like, like you said, there's haters everywhere. And like anyone I started looking up to, like I would hear shit from like that one other person. I'm like, what, really? Like just that thing. And I couldn't believe the shit I was hearing about Brian after, like, I was like, dude, this guy brought me into everything. So I was like, I don't think he's that hero who's really a villain. So as I got to want to learn more about Brian, then I actually got to meet the guy and go see his place. I was like, none of this fucking shit's true. I mean, like, maybe at some point, yeah, everyone has to fucking become better at what they're doing. But that Reptarium, bro, nicest fucking thing I've ever walked into my entire life. And I'm very fucking observant. Like, bro, like, especially the first time I went over there, I was looking for anything I could possibly look at to be like, man, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Because I could tell you what, bro, there's one big fucking reptile zoo in California that literally fucking made me have nightmares. And I'll never walk into that motherfucker again. I literally had to put my clothes in a goddamn trash can because I did not feel safe. And after seeing that, I was really expecting to see the shit everyone was talking about Brian. But that wasn't the case, bro. Brian's a real deal when it comes to what he's doing right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he's, if you just take it like a dividing line, you say, okay, pre the bullshit, yeah, he did some stuff. But post that and everything else, I've seen nothing. I'm not saying there's nothing. I'm saying I've seen nothing. And I see a guy who could do a ton for the industry. So we sort of have him sitting on the bench, penalized by his past. And I'm not here to say right or wrong. I'm just telling you facts. If he was out working for us, it could be pretty good.
Day by day, man. You never know.
But whatever. There's, Jay's got his share of haters, but I guess if I'm a retic guy, and some of the stuff he's doing with the retics, biting and all that kind of stuff, it's one of those things, man.
I mean, I don't want to bring anything up, man, but I'm saying, I'm somebody to where, like, you could talk all the shit you want until I see it. But once I see it, that's when I see it, and there's no changing my mind. I can tell you that. You could go and say, oh, well, no, fuck that. With the shit that I saw, no excuse for. And I don't understand how anyone even has a fucking establishment, a fucking just a following like that. That's what kind of pisses me off. You could be the biggest piece of shit on earth and still have a fucking big following in the animal game. It sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a strange industry, man. It's been cool. It's been it's been great for me, my family, my daughter, just everything. I'm super grateful to everybody and everything that's happened. But man, it's a strange life, when you're in the reptile industry and I don't mean like you got a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and then you have a 28 quart rack in your basement. Like, I mean, like every day you count on the reptile industry to provide for your family. That's all you do, and that's my case, and it's a wild industry. It's been fun. It's been tragic. There's been, ups and downs but man, it's been, I can't imagine doing anything else.
So let me ask you this. What's the reality you feel like for most of these new people coming in who are going to be able to successfully do this at some point for a living? Because that's the expectations for a lot of these people coming in very excited, and it is feasible. I don't feel like just solely off snakes. Like, you better have a fucking bunch of multiple things going on, period. But what
Well,
you see a lot. So, yeah.
You've got, okay, so like if you're coming in now, like all you got to do is go, let's say you live around here, just make it easy. You live around here, all of a sudden you wander in my shop, you see the stuff, you're like, man, I want to start breeding stuff. This is kind of cool. You can go to the Tinley show, meet the best of the best breeders in the world, buy the best stock. They will tell you exactly how to breed them. You go 3 booths down and you go to Sea Serpents and you buy the exact racks or cages that this guy tells you to buy. You go over to Reptile Basics and you get, you know, the stat that you need to keep it exactly the temperature. You cruise over to some Triple L's booth and you get all the beddings you need and all the stuff. Make you go home and like you're fucking what it took other people 20 years to figure out. You just did it in a day. Like you're rolling, man. You have the best shit that anybody can give you right there.
Dude, and like, I mean, sure, you have to know this from, you know, even minus the people that you met back in the 90s, how hard was it to get information and find out what the fuck you should be doing with animals?
It was all
back
price
then?
lists. Remember, everybody had a price list, long piece of paper with all their shit on there and the prices and like that was it, man, pretty much. And like everything else, you were kind of on.
But like how hard was it to get like caging and enclosures though back then?
It was there was a place out of California that made white melamine racks. And I'm trying to think of the name of them.
The ones that Rico Wilder had?
What?
You know who Rico Wilder is? You ever heard of Rico Wilder?
Oh, yeah, Rico. Oh, yeah.
He had those white melamine racks. I know exactly what you're talking. They were like really distinct classic racks. And he had a whole room full of them. And I know exactly. I forget who makes them. It's a name. I forget. But I know.
And then for cages, it was all Neotiche plastics.
Wow. That's crazy.
Neotiche. Do you know what WeatherTech is? Do you guys have WeatherTech?
I know what WeatherTech is.
Floor mats.
The floor mats. And it goes in your bed in your truck. It goes in your truck.
Phone holder and all that.
Yeah. Right.
That guy is a local here.
Okay.
Gazillionaire dude. He bought the most expensive car ever purchased. It was a Ferrari for like 100 million, right around 100 million. Anyway.
What?
So
Jesus.
Back in the day, call it 94, 95. I take a truck and a trailer out to Neotiche Plastics, which is in Neotiche, Kansas. And Mike Gully worked there at the time for Ted Pites. Ted Pites, the owner. And I'm picking up a giant load of cages for the shop and for our houses for boas that we're trying to breed. And so when I'm there, he's showing me these boxes, all these boxes of these rubber floor mats that he's shipping out for this company in Illinois called WeatherTech. And so at the time, the same guy that made Neotiche cages made all of the WeatherTech products and shipped them for him. So the dude would do the orders, get all the orders, and Ted would do all the making of the things and the order fulfillment and the whole thing. That company now is like a mega billion company. I mean, they're like fucking huge.
I can only imagine.
Just wild, you know?
Well, yeah, because if it's one thing that's wild, it's like, dude, I hear how fucking crazy Sea Serpents is. Like, they're booming. Like, Sea Serpents is like, I mean, like almost any enclosure company is like, there's like a 6-month wait right now. I mean,
his whole thing was he'd ship the week you bought it. That was his thing. You bought it, it went out within that week, it shipped.
Right.
And he was always good for that until COVID, basically. And
wow.
once COVID hit, man, that was it. He's got 3 CNC machines at his place. He's got some great employees.
You know how many employees you know how many employees he has off the top of your head by chance, or roughly around how many?
He's around 5. I think he's around 5 plus him.
Okay.
And 3 CNC machines. And he's trying to get guys. He told me the story the other day. He had a guy start working there. The guy's like 50 years old, so around my age. He comes in. Brian, who works there, is showing him what he's going to do for the day. You know, you basically stand in front of this machine, kind of just moving stuff like, you know. The guy goes, oh, man. He goes, so all I'm going to be doing is just right here, just monotonous like that. And he's like, yeah, that's your job. And he's like, yeah, no, man, can't do it. And he walked out after 5 minutes.
Just because
like,
he was
that's what we're dealing
there
with today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. I mean, bro. I mean, I have people who own restaurants and shit, and on the verge. I'm talking about so shout out to my buddy Juan, the #1 taco shop in San Diego. It's called Lolita's, the best. I'm telling you right now. Been around since the 80s, and literally, bro, they hit a fucking point where like owners had to come in and do the shifts like that. You know what I mean? Like just it was different. Like it hit different. Obviously they're able to maintain and do it, but a lot of businesses weren't, bro. A lot of businesses like they
I
got
can't
hit.
figure it out. Like I just don't know where everybody went. Is it like, are people literally sitting home saying like, I'm gonna fucking sit here until the taco shop calls me and tells me I'm getting paid $25 an hour? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's something. I mean, they're milking something to the point where, like, now, I mean, it's at a point where there's nothing else to milk. You're all tapped out, you know. Thank God. So people are going back to work now, but
they're not anywhere near what we need. Like I thought when those checks stopped from the government, that like all of a sudden this mad rush of people was going to be at every door, and there'd be no more help wanted signs, and shit would start getting back to good, you know. And clearly there's an agenda out there where that's not the case, and I just don't know, like, where the fuck did they all go? What are they doing? How do they survive?
I mean, I don't want to be, you know, I'm just saying, like, Mexican families are big down here, so they're fucking probably leeching off something. God damn it! Just, you know, with all due respect, just saying, it is what it is. It's
just the craziest thing, man. Where is everybody? But whatever. Anyway, yeah, man. No, it's been a cool cruise, and the industry's wild. If you're new at it, just go to the shows, look at what's going on. And if you work hard at this and you're honest and you are a good business person and honest, you will kill it.
Okay, I have a wrap-up question for you, Brian, before we get into the hot seat questions. And this kind of retains back to what we were talking about earlier about people who are looking to throw shows in their local area. And I'm talking about a certain demographic, like Seattle, Washington, right? I know quite a bit of passionate reptile keepers in that area, and they're just aren't any good shows up there to their take. So there are people up there wondering what do they got to do to actually throw a successful show or at least plan one. And what is your advice?
Seattle closer to other cities where people can drive from. Think about it, right?
Right.
Like, there's a shit ton of breeders around the Tinley area. The Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio. That whole area is loaded, right?
Right.
They can't drive all the way to Seattle to vend a show. It's just impossible. So geography has a lot to do with it, right? Like, for me to get vendors, it's very easy here.
Got it. That makes sense.
I mean, I'm trying to simplify it, but I mean, that really is a big part of it, man.
So, so for instance, for them, right? Do you suggest for them to fucking hunt in their area and see how many people they could actually get to vend a show, or what's your suggestion for them?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to like start it small, and you know, it's always a catch-22, right? You start small, the public comes, they go, "Well, this sucks." You know what I mean? The vendors go, "Well, this sucks," but it's like everybody wants that instant, like everybody wants you to do a show and it to be like, "Oh, this is just like Tinley now, day one."
Right. All over. Here we go.
Man, it's like we don't do that. You know, we don't do Arlington and then same as Tinley. It's not. It's just I don't know. There's no magic answer for that, man. And I'm not trying to make it bigger than it is, but it's just geography has a ton to do with it.
Right.
Vendor support has just so much to do with it. If you can get the vendors to support you and believe in what you're doing and keep coming back, you could build something, but that's a tough thing to get these days. These guys want instant gratification too.
Yep. That's the facts. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be willing to lose because that's what's going to happen.
I don't see anything giant really ever being in Seattle. I just don't.
Oh, there you go. Well, all right, man. Let's get these hot seat questions out of the way, and then we're going to go and wrap up this episode, man. Are you ready for these hot seat questions?
Yeah, brother.
All right, cool, man. So I don't need an explanation, Brian. Just go ahead and shoot them, bro, as fast as you can as they come, okay?
Yep.
All right, so here we go. Wrapping it up with Brian Potter hot seat questions coming in hot. Frozen thought or live?
Oh, live.
A cutter or no cutter?
Cutter.
All right. Baseball or football?
Football.
Steak or fish?
I'm trying to get off the steak to lose some fat. But I do like steaks, but I also do like fish steaks.
Red wine or white wine?
Red.
Favorite whiskey?
Oh,
wow. Look at that. Jeez, you are on deck. I want to be at your place. I don't even drink. I just want to be around it.
Favorite? I don't know. I don't even think I have one yet. Those shit all taste the same to me, man. I got a million of them, and I don't know. I'm just a fucking dirtbag from the South Side. They all taste the same.
So, do you have a drink of choice?
Old fashioned these days.
Perfect. All right, Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Just saw Sammy a month ago or so. It's two equally great bands. I like and love Sammy as who he is.
Better artist, Michael Jackson or Prince?
Prince.
Heavy. Eminem or Machine Gun Kelly?
Eminem.
All right. If you had to pick, West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
I'd do fine without either.
All right, little word association. First thing to come to mind, milk.
Snake.
Cocoa.
Cocoa. Hot chocolate.
Stuck shed.
What?
Stuck shed.
Oh, I thought that was what your thing was for the other one. I was like, what the hell?
No.
Stuck shed. Kill an employee.
Instagram trolls.
Love it.
Love it. Okay. Dude, okay. If you had to get rid of one forever, and I mean forever, are you going to get rid of Instagram or Facebook? Which one?
Instagram, but I'm transferring from all about, like, I just woke up about a year ago and realized there was Instagram. Basically, that's who I am. So I'm migrating over there and spending a lot more time there, but as of right now I need Facebook more.
Okay. All right. Respect, dude. Well, good shit, Brian. I appreciate you so much, man. This was long overdue, and I'm glad we did it. What do you have to say to, man, everyone who supports NARBC, everyone who loves going to the shows, making it as hyped as it is? What do you have to say to all your supporters out there?
Man, thank you so much. I can't even tell you what it means, like, when we're at a Tinley and everything's just rocking and pumping, and there's that electricity that's in the air there that I don't get anywhere else. It's just awesome. I love that people love it as much as they do. It's just the best feeling in the world, and I can't thank everybody enough for the support that we get there and the hype and people telling other people about it, and just, like, it's just great. Like, the week of Tinley is always like, Facebook is like NARBC book, Insta book. It's like everything is just, it's crazy. I love it.
Love it.
And I don't love it for the ego of it. I love it that, like, we're doing something that everybody is having success with. That's what, it's just like, how much better could you feel than that?
100%. Well, dude, good shit. Let me share my idea with you before you go. I forgot to share my idea. What do you think at the next Tinley, we have a DJ set up and we do intro music for the next time you're going to auction? How about we make this more of an event? What's your opinion on that?
I'm open for that. I'm totally open for that. We used to all the time. I actually fucking have to pay. What is that thing I have to pay every year now? They fucking hound me because we had Chad he was the DJ before every show during setup.
Right.
So when we did the one show in California, not Anaheim, we did it somewhere else up near Pomona, but not Pomona. We were like over that way. Fuck was that at? But anyway, those cocksuckers got onto me and billed me now so that I can play music. You know, I have to write that fucking check.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about?
No,
like,
it's
bars to be able to play music, you have to write a check every year.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
They're on me like stink on shit now.
So what do you pay?
So
what do you pay every year?
Well, I'll use it. Yeah, a DJ would be great at the auction. Like, just before it kicks off, it'd be fun.
So you already pay something that allows you to play music at these events, is what you're
these
saying?
Motherfuckers hounded me, and so I started mailing checks.
All right. Well, you're looking at a seasoned DJ right here, bro.
Let's do it. And Tilly will be great before the auction. And then on Friday during setup would be cool too.
Good. Say less, bro. If it's one thing I love doing is getting people pumped the fuck up with my music. So it's going to be great.
We should also do karaoke.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Imagine Reptile show karaoke.
Dude, yeah. I would love to see some people shred on that shit. That'd be awesome.
Di will be there.
Oh, shit. Well, Brian, dude, thank you so much, bro. You have a wonderful night, man, and I appreciate your support, and I cannot wait to see you at the next NARBC.
Thanks for having me, bro. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad we got it to work out, man.
Yeah. I'll get this thing fixed, and we'll do it again.
All right, bro. Have a good night, Brian.
You too, brother.
Later, dude. Brian Potter, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Episode 109. Thank you so much, everyone who tuned in. I appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, man, what a great episode. All I got to say is this was long overdue. I'm glad it got done. Because like I said, I got a lot to fucking learn from Brian Potter, who's been in this game for quite a while. But that being said, guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. Just so you guys know, I am bringing back International Trap Talk Coffee and Dab sessions this Saturday. We are going to be tapping in to the UK. That's right. We're going back to the UK. We have somebody tapping in this Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Set your reminder. Go down to the link below because we're going to have my man Don Royal's Reptiles in the house. This guy's working with some amazing type quality ball pythons. I want to know exactly what he got going on. I want to learn more about my man Don Royals. And I think you should too. So go down, set that reminder, and just be ready to tap into the coolest reptile podcast in the world. If you need to get a hold of me, you know the deal. mjexoticscartal on Instagram. And that's with an A, not an E. Make sure you go follow Trap Talk with MJ podcast, Instagram page as well. Shout out to my Twitch viewers. If you want to support this page more than a subscription, go ahead and shoot out a donation to MJ Exotics Cartel 619. And shout out to all my Patreon members. I will see you guys this Sunday for sure, 100%. I'm sorry I had to cancel last week. But the whole house hunting thing is not easy. It's not easy. It is at all. That is fucking anyways. I got to go eat. I'm hungry. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for tapping in. Coolest Reptile Podcast in the world. Cheap.